Hey guys, welcome back. We've got another Kitchenaid here that we're working on. This is model K45. This is sent in by Tim, and this one is, you can tell it's a Harvest Gold color. The finish doesn't look bad on it. I mean, it's got some scuffs and scratches and whatnot on it, but this one is getting a complete new finish on it. It's going to be a, I think it's a blue or a purple, I believe a purple color that goes over a chrome base. So it's a, it's a purple top coat that's going on here. And it's going to be a pretty sharp looking machine when it's done. I believe he had said this thing runs. I've got it plugged in. We're going to turn it on and we're going to just verify. Yep, and as I suspected it does. It runs good. So we'll start our teardown now. Gotta get a few tools out here as we go. We'll start by popping off our little accessories there. And let's get out our brushes that are in here and see how they look. Alright, brushes look excellent. You see that one looks excellent as well. Alright, let's take the cover off the back here. Take a look at the speed control. That's quite a screw they got in there. Alright, this thing looks, wow, remarkably clean inside. Oh yeah, I see just a tiny little bit of flour like on the bottom of the speed control here. But just from looking at the surface of this, I mean, everything looks spotless in there. So that is a really good sign. Yeah, there's a little bit of flour in here, tiny little bit. And you can see these wires here are all completely color coded. Even these here, this one that comes from the switch up to here, they're both green. There's a light and a dark green. I think they're green, but they're color coded pretty well. It makes it, pretty easy for anybody that's doing this for the first time, especially when it comes to hooking everything back up on here. Alright, so we got that off. I'm going to pop my spring off of the speed control. Oh, I got to put my glasses on because I can't see. I've got to get to the eye doctor. I have had so much trouble trying to see lately, and with these glasses here, they're just like cheaters. They work good for things like up close, but I get out to arm's length and everything is still fuzzy. But for far away, I can see fine. So I got to get to the eye doctor and get me some glasses. I went most of my life with, actually better than 20/20 vision. Actually, slightly better than 20/10. And it seems like once I got close to, actually it's just been in the past year, I think I've noticed my eyesight going bad. I had to get these cheaters to see things up close and to read things up close and fine print and all that. And like I said, things at an arm's distance now, I'm having a little trouble reading, so, or even seeing clearly. I mean, it's amazing. I can put these glasses on, and so much more detail shows that I've obviously been missing here for a little while. So, yeah, it's time for me to go get some glasses. I guess that's, I guess that comes with age, Eventually, your eyes are just going to wear out. My eyes have been through hell anyways in my life, so yeah, you can see on here. Now there's just a little bit of flour just on the bottom there. It's not bad at all. And it looks like a little bit of glue on that paper thing there, but otherwise, you know, fairly clean. Let me see if I can pull this off by hand. Yep, there we go. Get our capacitor out of here. And I'm assuming all these parts are good, being that they've got, you know, hardly any use on them. You know, and it ran decent too, so I think this is a low mileage machine that can, you know, definitely benefit from, you know, some maintenance, getting it lubed up and changing the grease, but we're also going to change up the color and make it look cooler. And then this Harvest Gold, which I've got nothing against the Harvest Gold. I know a lot of people like the Harvest Gold color. But a nice shiny purple top coat is going to look sharp on here. Alright. I guess I can continue to remove some of this stuff here. Since we got this back facing us, we'll just continue taking it apart. And I've got all kinds of containers now to just throw parts in right away, because my wife cleaned out her Tupperware, and anything that didn't have lids or that she wanted to replace, she replaced. So I snagged a bunch of the containers. Oh, gotta get that little pin out of there too, or this won't come off. There we go. Alright, put that washer back on there so I don't lose that. Alright, that looks pretty decent. We'll of course clean this out, get that wick in there oiled up. Get our little dust plate out here. Yeah, and this does got a little bit of stuff on there too. This may be used a little more than I thought, but not as nearly as much as a lot of the ones we've seen. Alright, so that's about all we're going to be able to get out from the back here right now. I guess we could disconnect our cord wires while we're here. That way everything is at least disconnected. See, these two are, you know, go to your field coil from the cord. You got these, one of these goes to the coil, one goes to a, actually these both go to the coil, because on these models you've got your brush holder leads come right up the front of that coil, and then this is of course your switch. Alright, so let's turn it around and start taking apart the front here. Start by getting off our little trim ring here. There we go. You see that does got some crud in it. Yeah, it seems to have been used more than I thought. There's definitely some crud in here. Some pretty solid stuff too. But that'll get all cleaned up anyways. Alright, we got a pin that we've got to get out here so that we can pull our planetary out. And that pin we're just going to drift out with a punch. might go better the other way. Trying to keep everything I'm doing in frame here. Alright, there we go. It's starting to go now. Alright, turn it back around so you guys can see. And hopefully you can see the pin sticking out here. We just pulled that out. Get our punch out of there. And now we can work our planetary off. Oh, this one's coming pretty easy. There we go. Got a couple washers here that we just want to put back up on the shaft for now, just so we remember where they go. You see there's some oil down in there. Not a lot of grease. They don't grease these planetaries very well for whatever reason. You can see where they used to put a counterweight in there, which is now empty. Alright, so we got to take this off here. And to do that, I just need something to hold this with. And for that, we're just going to use these hokey little Irwin vice grips. And we don't even really need to lock them on there. Basically, we got to just stop that pin from rotating. Oh, this one's on tight. There we go. And you see when we take this off. Oh, see, that came right off. Nice. That little pin here we got to pull out. It doesn't want to go that way for some reason, so we'll go that way. Alright, there's a washer that goes on there. And you can see that's oiled up pretty well. That looks good. So we'll just keep all this stuff here together. Now this right here is ready to be degreased. Alright, let me put this back together for now just so I know where these parts all reside. Well, I think I know where they go, but I just want to make sure that they stay together so I don't lose anything. You know what, I'll just, instead of putting them together, like I said, I got plenty of these, I'll just throw it all in here. There we go. Get it all cleaned up together. Alright, now we can actually, on these, this isn't a lift arm model, this is a tilt head, so we can actually separate the top from the bottom before we take it off the stand. So the first thing we got to do is pull our band that goes around it. That's got to come off. And this has got Phillips screws on it. There we go, got the band off. You can see all the goo and oil and grease and gunk that gets built up on there. And interestingly enough, this doesn't say anything on the band other than the Kitchenaid, the speed control, and lock and unlock. That's all this band says. Everything else is on the plate down here where it says K45 and the watts and volts and all that. I believe it mentions it's Hobart on there as well. And while we got the back facing us, let's go ahead and pull the back screws out that hold the two halves together. I can't even see up in here. Alright, I gotta duck down below the camera here so I can see. There we go. So you can remove this whole thing from the base to take it apart, but I find that on these it's easier to just do it like this. Alright, spin it back around again, and I'm going to unlock this. This way you guys can see what's going on, and yeah, I think I'll get these screws out here. Ooh, there's a lot of gunk in there. This thing is maybe used a little more than I suspected. There's a lot of signs on the outside here that I didn't see on the inside. Alright, and while I'm here, I'm going to go through, I'm just going to get this O-ring out that's in here, so I don't have to deal with it later. And this is a really tight O-ring here. This has got quite a deep recess in there for the O-ring too. Usually they're just like a thin little slot, but this one seems heavy duty. And this O-ring is not coming out as easy as they usually do. There we go. Now we can just roll it right off of there. Yeah, that's got a pretty significant slot in there for that O-ring. Alright. We've just got our 5 screws here now. That's the only thing holding these 2 halves together. Alright, all the screws that hold both halves together are now off. The only thing we've got to deal with now is the cord restraint. There we go, that was easy enough. Let's get this out of the way so we have no slack on our cord when we separate these. Alright. So now we just got to pry these 2 halves apart, and as you can see, they're wanting to come apart pretty easily. And there we go. Now we can pull our cord out and get it right out of the way. Alright, and now we can see everything going on inside here. You can see the old grease in there. It looks like 2 different types of grease in there, actually. You got that orange waxy looking stuff, and then you got that brown goopy stuff there. But we're going to have to get all that grease out of there. And if you look at the PTO drive, it looks like it's, whoop, there it goes, falling right out. So that one's not going to be an issue to get out of here at all. But I'm going to set that aside for now. And we're going to focus on up here. Rotate this so you guys can see, and you can see the amount of grease that's on everything here. These things are just so greasy in here, but yet they put none on the planetary, and that just seems really odd to me. And I see this grease, it looks almost like like chocolate or something. Not sure why they would have, you know, two different types of grease in here. We'll just scrape off quite a bit of it here. And then we can start disassembling all this stuff here. The grease on here is it's a lot thinner grease. It looks waxy, but it's really not. It's a lot thinner than that chocolatey looking stuff there. Just not really sure. I can't explain that, honestly. Yeah, there's quite a bit of stuff on there. Alright, let me get rid of that nasty paper towel there. I'm going to grab another container for these really greasy parts so I can just throw it right in the degreaser. Like I said, I've got the old Tupperware mother load here. Alright, we'll get off this worm drive gear here, including these screws. Wow, this one's not greasy, but it's going in the degreaser anyways, because the other two are greasy. Alright, get this worm drive assembly here. This whole thing will end up coming apart. You see it's packed full of grease in there, so I have to degrease that a bit more, but this will end up getting taken apart and all the parts degreased, and we'll also take a good look at this, make sure all the teeth are good on there, which I'm sure it is. Normally when they fail, it's for the reason they were designed to fail for, and it usually wipes them out pretty good. So if it hasn't been wiped out, then it's usually pretty good. Alright, and then this gear right here, got to pull our washers back off now, but this will lift straight out of here now. There we go. You see we got to get that cleaned off a bit better, but throw washers back on there for now. Alright, we can throw this old nasty, flinging grease everywhere, this old nasty gasket out. We'll be replacing that with a new one. And I think I've got just one left, so I'm going to have to go get some ordered up. We got a little bit of grease on here that we can get to now to get off. And the rest of it will come off in degreaser. Alright, we're going to take our lock assembly off of here. There's really nothing to it. There's a screw right there that holds it on. So I'll make sure I throw it in the right bin. Alright, so there's that screw right there, and then also underneath here is a screw. You probably can't see. Right there's a screw. And this is the screw the whole thing pivots on. And you see, that's what that screw looks like there. Now this whole assembly will just lift right out. Let me get that all kept together. Alright, so we have one more washer, and this washer here actually was, you know, this is on this base part, your main gear that goes down through it, you always have one washer on the top and then two on the bottom. So just for future reference, yeah, that one goes on the top there. So I'll set it down there for now. Alright, so this is, oh, there's interesting, there's another screw inside of there. Spare stuff. Alright, so aside from knocking this pin out, separating this, and then taking the base plate off of there and the feet off the bottom, this is pretty much stripped down, so I'm going to set that aside. I'll just strip that down later. Meanwhile, I'm going to drop down and work on this part here. Okay, so as we saw already, I just dropped it in there. The PTO drive is ready to come out, but I just dropped it right down in the grease, so that's out of the way. Here's where you get all dirty and grungy. Alright, what I'm going to do, I'm going to get the grease out of here, and then I'm going to wash up before I start taking the rest of that stuff. I'm going to just be covered in grease, and so are all my tools. So I'm just going to go start scraping some of this out of here and getting it right out of our way. As you can see, there's a lot in here. These things are always packed so full of grease. You know, when you buy those little things online from Kitchenaid, those little containers they have for grease, I mean, you can't use one on here. You need to buy 2 of them because it just takes so much. And when you see those containers, I can't remember what they sell for, but when you see them, you think, oh, that's not a lot of money for that grease. But when you realize you got to buy 2 of them, then it doubles your money you're spending. Alright, I am like completely covered in grease. My hands are. Everything I touch is getting greasy now. So that's why I want to just get as much out as I can and then go get cleaned up, clean my tools up. The less grease I have around to get on stuff later, the better. Alright, that's probably 90% of it. I don't know, every time I look I see another blob in here. But I'm going to say that's probably 90% of it, so that's good enough for now. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go wash up, I'm going to get these tools washed up, and then we'll come back and we'll take all the electrical stuff out of here. Alright, so we're back to getting this apart now. And at this point, I can get the armature out of here. So to do that, I need to just basically tap it. There's a bearing in there that the race is held in just by pressure in there. It's not pressed in, it's not a tight press fit, but it's definitely, you know, held in there with a little bit of pressure. So I just got to find the tapping tool here. Well, I guess I can use my screwdriver for that. And basically it just needs to be tapped to bust it loose there. You see, I think it's already moved. There we go. Alright, and that's that. See, so now we can pull our armature right on out of there. And there's kind of like the cover for the grease for the bearing. And the bearing moves really nice. So we're going to end up cleaning that old grease out of here, and we'll get that packed with new grease. This doesn't have any wear, just needs to get polished up a bit. that all looks good. Now we've got this whole switch assembly and lever and all that down here. Let's see if I can get you guys a decent view here. I'm having a hard time situating my camera today. Alright, but anyways, I'm gonna pull this off and I'll show you guys how this whole thing. Oh no, not one of these. Oh no, it's gonna snap on me. Oh yeah, it's gonna snap. Dang it. Alright, I'm gonna leave that wait for now. Every now and then one of these gets almost like cross-threaded and you can't back it up, and you can almost tell because you can move it forward a little bit and back. It's got like a little play, but when you try and back it up more, it just binds right up, and that is probably going to snap on me. Which I've got other screws of that, part screws, but that means I'll have to drill and tap that one out, and that's not fun. So let's get our switch off of here now instead. That spring on there is bugging me. Usually I could take this off and get all this stuff off first, but with that spring on there now, it's gonna mess me up. There we go. Alright, got it unhooked from a spring. There's the on-off switch. No simple switch, nothing to it. I'm not going to be able to get any of this off of here. That's a bummer. I cannot believe this is stuck on there like that. And it's like, not rusty. It's not, no amount of penetrant is going to fix that. I don't know if there was like shavings in there when they ran this in, or got cross-threaded or what, but maybe I can work it back and forth without snapping it until it clears. There we go. I got lucky on this one. Because honestly, I thought it was going to snap for sure. Alright, let's get this all out of here. Take a look at our screw. And you can see there's definitely some crud on there. I don't know if that's corrosion or chunks of aluminum, but yeah, it looks pretty bad. So we're probably going to have to try and chase that hole out a little bit. Alright. Well, either way, we'll figure that out later. Alright, so now I'm going to bring you guys back so you can kind of see what's going on here. I'm going to loosen up these nuts here. And loosen up these threaded shafts here. Now we can pull those out and then get everything else pulled out of here. And everything is practically finger tight on these, believe it or not. And inside here, this whole assembly with these threaded nuts. The nuts that hold the coil in, and the nuts that hold the rear plate on. Alright, so we get those out of the way. Now we've just got a couple of connectors here on the brush holders, and we got to pop those out. And they're pretty straightforward. Alright. Here, now we've got our entire fuel coil out. And we look for a date on here. 12735. 07. Alright, I don't see a date on that, and there wasn't a date on the armature either, so alright, there's no date in there in our last wire. I was wrong. I thought both leads attached to the, from the coil, that attached to the brush holders were from the coil, but that's on the solid state models, so this one had that lead right there. And we've got a couple little set screws in here for these brush holders. And we get those right out of the way. Hopefully. There we go. Yep, easy peasy. Get those on out of there. Alright, so all we got left in here is just a whole bunch of grease, and we'll go start degreasing that. Let me get this last trim piece off here. Alright, that's our last piece of trim. Alright, so we got to just finish taking the base apart, get everything degreased, powder coated, and all these other parts we got to degrease and clean up, and then we'll come back and we'll get everything put back together and bring it back to show you the end result. Okay, so we got this all wrapped up now. This is in a color called Lollypop Purple, which is, it's almost like an illusion color. I mean, if you look at it and it looks like, depending on the angle that you're seeing it, it may be like a little lighter and it looks dark. But as soon as you change angle and rotate, let me try to rotate the machine here. You can see how it changes, like here, I'm trying to see in the camera. And I try to wipe this off with some Windex, but every little fingerprint, and you just touch it and it just shows on there. It's worse than black paint, but it does wipe off really easy though. But as you see, it looks like lighter here and now dark there, light right through here, dark and dark. But then you rotate it around and you can see now that looks dark and this looks lighter, so it's just weird the way it catches the color. It's almost like one of the illusion colors. But anyways, let's go ahead and fire this thing up and give this a listen to now. And there you have it. I think I hit most of the speeds there. I can't really see the speed thing on here. I'm going to have to wipe this down with like a microfiber and some distilled water or something to get all these, all these little, looks like fingerprints and even residue from the glass cleaner seems to show up on here. It's a really touchy surface. I mean, if I go like that, I can see a smudge from my finger right on there. Extremely shiny finish, very reflective. This is basically a purple top coat over top of a chrome base on here. The chrome is shiny enough, but you can't leave the chrome as just plain chrome. Usually gets a clear, which dulls it out, or a top coat, and a top coat seems to keep the reflective properties of the chrome powder and do transparent surface of the top coat, obviously. But it does give it a nice illusion effect. Turned out really cool. But anyways, we're gonna get this wiped down and try and get all our little fingerprints and everything off of here. And so we're going to get this back to Tim, and if you guys have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I'll get back to those as soon as I can. As always, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. And there you have it. I think I hit most of the speeds there. I can't really see the speed thing on here. I'm going to have to wipe this down with like a microfiber and some distilled water or something to get all these, all these little, looks like fingerprints and even residue from the glass cleaner seems to show up on here. It's a really touchy surface, and if I go like that I can see a smudge from my finger right on there. Extremely shiny finish, very reflective. This is basically a purple top coat over top of a chrome base on here. The chrome is shiny enough, but you can't leave the chrome as just plain chrome. Usually gets a clear, which dulls it out, or a top coat, and a top coat seems to keep the reflective properties of the chrome powder and the transparent surface of the top coat, obviously. But it does give it a nice illusion effect. Turned out really cool. But anyways, we're gonna get this wiped down and try and get all our little fingerprints and everything off of here, and get it on back to Tim. And yep, this one's done. So if you guys have any questions, comments, leave them down below. Get back to those as soon as I can. And don't forget to